Hello. In this clip from our Justia webinar, Practice Law with AI Without Losing Your Law License, you will get an overview of what AI is, how it works, and we will go through some of the advantages and disadvantages of AI. Remember, if you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Today, Marina and I will be giving you some information about how you can improve your law practice with artificial intelligence without running into practical or ethical issues. But first, let me remind you how things can go very wrong if you don't understand AI or you forget your professional obligations. The name Stephen Schwartz might ring a bell. He's the lawyer now famous for submitting a brief in federal court in May that cited 6 fake cases. When the lawyers for the other side brought this to the judge's attention, the judge reviewed the cases himself and couldn't find them either. Schwartz eventually admitted that he had used ChatGPT to write his brief. At the sanctions hearing, he claimed he wasn't even thinking that ChatGPT could fabricate cases, and instead thought it was showing him cases that were unpublished or difficult to find. In response to the court's order asking for copies of the cases, Schwartz and his colleague produced supposed copies of 5 cases, saying they couldn't find entire opinions, but they provided what they found in quote-unquote online databases. They also didn't explain why they couldn't find the 6th opinion. In the opinion and order on sanctions, the court described the case excerpts as gibberish and bordering on nonsensical. It also noted that the excerpts contained internal citations and quotes that were completely non-existent. The docket numbers attached to the fake cases were actually associated with completely unrelated cases. Schwartz's defense was that he asked ChatGPT whether the cases it cited were real, and it said that they were, citing sources like Lexis and Westlaw. He said he was convinced of their authenticity because all the cases had case captions, names of judges from the correct locations, and detailed fact patterns and legal analysis. In the end, Schwartz, his colleague, and their firm were fined $5,000 and were required to notify the plaintiff in the case, as well as the judges cited as authors of the fake opinions about the sanctions, and they had to pass on related court documents. The order on sanctions noted it was not just that Schwartz filed a brief with fake cases, but that he doubled down when their authenticity was called into question. By the end of May, a federal judge in Texas began requiring lawyers to certify that either they won't use AI to draft filings, or if they do, that they will verify the results. Other judges followed, including a federal judge in Philadelphia, a federal judge in Chicago, and a judge on the U.S. Court of International Trade. Notably, these judges aren't prohibiting AI entirely, but they're emphasizing that the use of AI tools by lawyers should be carefully managed. So now that you know potential pitfall of using AI in your practice, let's go over how you can use it successfully. We'll start by talking about what AI is, then we'll go over a few different ways you can use it in your practice. Finally, we'll address some of the ethical issues that may arise. So I'll hand it over to Marina to give you a little bit of an overview of AI in general.
Yeah, thank you, Kara. And let me see if I can get the slides going. So basically, the first question here for all of you guys is, what is AI? And to go through it simply, AI in a lot of ways is just a tool. Most of the AIs that you guys are going to be familiar with right now are tools used to imitate intelligent human behavior. Some of them are very conversational, like the large language model AIs like ChatGPT, and you can think of them like a robot that you could talk to. But these aren't program tools. So a lot of times when we think about the notion of AI and technology, we think about computers sitting behind an engineer and programming tools. That doesn't exactly apply to these artificial intelligence tools. Instead, they're trained tools. So while there are computer engineers and incredibly smart people, helping build these things, these programs are continuously learning, and they're learning from various data sets. They're looking for patterns, they're analyzing queries that users put in, and they're evolving to continue to improve the algorithms and give better answers, at least in theory. And so you can think of these tools as a sophisticated autocomplete. It's using pattern matching and probabilities to determine what word would come next in response to the query you've given it. And they're becoming ubiquitous. I mean, brands are using them to do things like generate blog posts. Bankrate made the news for doing that. There's a lot of discussion about people using them in schools and whether or not that's a tool for cheating like children, or whether or not it's similar to using a calculator. And so everybody's debating those things. There's work, different professional companies are determining whether or not AI is acceptable for its employees. Some have security concerns and are saying don't use it. Some are embracing it wholeheartedly. And then you see ads everywhere. So while you may not have seen a ChatGPT ad, I know that I frequently see ads for legal AI all over my social media feeds. You will see them in television, you'll see them on the news. And so AI is becoming something that you see everywhere. Now, these screenshots kind of show you what it looks like. You've got a comparison here between ChatGPT's 3.5 and 4 versions. And so basically it answered a question. This is an example I borrowed from Tim. He's a member of our Justia team, our CEO, if you haven't met him yet. And so he asked it, what's the difference between contributory negligence and comparative negligence? And in response to that query, the tool spit back out these answers. And you can see that there are some differences here. We'll talk about some of the different capabilities of AI a little bit more later. And we'll also discuss a little bit later a webinar that Tim and I did previously where we talked much more in depth about the differences in types of ChatGPT's releases 3.5 and 4 versus some other programs. But just know that you'll get back an answer is the gist here when you're understanding what AI is. Bing has taken it upon itself to incorporate some of these AI tools into its search engines. So now you've got the new Bing, which incorporates AI. And there's been discussion about that in the news, and this is a rapidly changing field. So it could be that something about this changes by the time you see the broadcast of this recording that we're making today. But it's important to just note that it is growing. Google hopped on the train. They created Bard, which is kind of their version of ChatGPT, their version of a sophisticated autocomplete, and which you can use to also get AI responses to queries. So, like I said, they're tools that are designed to imitate human behavior and detect those patterns. And then, of course, you've got advantages and disadvantages of AI. So, you've got the efficiency aspects that, perhaps your clients become more satisfied because they have smaller bills when you're using AI, and they will refer other people because they appreciated your rates. It didn't take you as long to do a task. You have the ability to get more done in a day. It's that scalability, that idea that tasks that take you a long time can be streamlined and made more efficient and made go quicker with the assistance of tools like AI. This in turn can reduce your stress, get back some of those hours in the day. I don't know about you guys, but I find that practice often tends to be very busy and very stressful. And so, especially when I was in the traditional practice day in and day out, there was never enough hours in the day to balance work and my family and all those other obligations. And so to an extent, AI can help with some of that. Of course, there's even more advantage beyond that, because not only can it streamline your daily processes, but it can perhaps amplify some of the skills you don't necessarily have. So for instance, I don't speak French, but ChatGPT may. And so you can use it for things like translation. If you are looking to translate a document into another language, translate something from another language into English, those kinds of things. So you can expand upon your skills by using it to, enhance what you're able to offer. Of course, there's also disadvantage to using AI as well. So it is not all sunshine and roses, and you will see soon that caution is going to be the name of the game when it comes to AI. So the first thing to remember is that AI has a limited knowledge base. And so it is only as good as the data available to it for the most part. Whatever information is given to that AI is what it has. So taking ChatGPT, for instance, it does not have the entire internet at its fingertips. Now it has a lot of great legal information in it. Justia has contributed a lot that forms the body of AI's knowledge for ChatGPT purposes, at least. However, it's still flawed in that it doesn't understand legal nuance. It's only as good as that data that's available to it. So when the law changes tomorrow, your AI tool probably does not know that yet. Likewise, the data used to train the AI can be flawed. So for instance, if that AI is pulling something in from a not reputable source, or if it has been given flawed data through those training mechanisms and queries, and the patterns it's predicting start to get off, then again, it can have some flaws there. And of course, there can be limitations beyond just the knowledge. There's a risk that AI tools can be biased from what is put in by creators or by users or the data that trains it. So as an example here, and there's a link there on the screen if you would like to, jot that down and read more about what happened here. But in a legal context, as an example, there was a correctional offender management profiling system that they were trying to use to predict recidivism rates in previous offenders and make decisions about things like parole, probation, risks of reoffense, all that. And what they found in this study was, for no explicable reason whatsoever, the AI identified Black defendants as being almost twice as likely to reoffend than similar white defendants. And, people dove into this data, but the disparity could not be explained with any other factor. It just simply came back to the AI tool was flawed in the data that it had available to it. So it's definitely somewhere where you've got to use caution, because you can definitely expand your efficiency, but you also need to have a watchful eye and use your own knowledge in what you're getting back.
We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more law practice and legal marketing videos. See you in our next clip.